Yes! Alrighty! What's up, everybody? It is I, your tribal god of extreme, Peter Joseph here, for a rainy, Saturday evening, September the 6th, 2025. Thank you all for watching right here on Metal God 669. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video and hit that subscribe button down there in the description box below. And that's pretty much it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday evening. Like I said, September the 6th, 2025. The first official weekend of September. We got about 2 weeks left to the official end of summer. Fall will begin. We're pretty much in peak hurricane season. There is a storm in the Atlantic, kind of fizzling out right now, but there's a chance it might hit the islands, maybe, hopefully not hit Puerto Rico as a hurricane or a depression. So east is down there in Puerto Rico, so hopefully nothing bad would happen later, coming up this coming week down there. But still don't even know the official track yet. It could go west and then hit Puerto Rico head on. It could go south. It could go northeast of Puerto Rico and then kind of make a turn and then, probably hit Bermuda. Then again, it could hit the Bahamas. Then maybe Florida. Who knows? But like I said, we're in peak hurricane season, and if you're down in Florida, down in the Carolinas, especially in the Bahamas, Bermuda, and the Leeward Islands of Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, you gotta be on standby for pretty much the next month, because it doesn't hurricane season pretty much ends right before Halloween. So over the next 4 to 8 weeks, you gotta check the Weather Channel. But nothing at the moment, but just be on the lookout for the next 6 to 10 days, because something might happen with possible hurricane or tropical depression Gabrielle, and we'll see what happens with that. But so stay safe down in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and even you people in Florida. Love you all. We got that. But hope everybody's having a great weekend, and if not, well, too bad for you. That's that. Alright, like I said, no big fancy intros when we get serious on the Metal God channel, and if you haven't been to my Metal God channel, this is your first time watching, I do have some metal music related videos on the channel, but most of the channel is a tribute channel to the faithful departed in baseball, any other sport, wrestling, because wrestling is a sport, TV, movies, radio, whatever it may be, that made an impact on my life and anybody else's life. I know we lost somebody this week. It wasn't really a major thing, so I didn't really care about it, but so we had that. But this is a tribute channel, not for clout, so the views I get don't matter. I mean, it does, but, I don't do videos for clout. If you think I do, well, you need your head examined. And, that's pretty much it. So, but thank you for watching the video, and leave a like down below, leave a comment, or whatever you want. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, on this Saturday evening, getting close to Saturday night, it'll be dark in about a half hour or so from now. But we got another death to talk about, and this one, once again, hits my childhood, and, for those of you who don't know, I'm old. I was born in the mid-70s, 76 to be exact, but most of my childhood was the 80s, the greatest decade of them all, ever, basically, with the great music, the sports, and everything. It was just an amazing era. We lost so many people from the 80s, You know, we lost Ozzy about a month or so ago, which was probably one of the biggest hits in my life because, Ozzy was one of my idols. Love you, Dad! Anyway, moving on with that. By the way, fuck you, Becky Lynch, and fuck you, Roger Waters. Saying some bad, evil, stupid shit about Ozzy. Oh, you're gonna get yours soon. Same. But I digress on that. Well, Becky got hers from AJ Lee. That's another story for another time. And Roger Waters, you're pretty much up there near the 80s, so, fuck you. We get that. But, I grew up in the 80s, and I was a big-time New York Mets fan. I started off in 1981. My dad used to take me, was a little bitty Hulkster dude, to Shea Stadium, before now it's Citi Field. Just an amazing time as a kid going to watch your favorite team play, and good seats back then. And back then, me and my dad went like during the season, went almost every weekend. It was just crazy. We had double headers, triple headers at one point. It was insane. Like, we get up early in the morning, go to Shea Stadium, and then watching, 3 games back. I'm like, oh! I didn't get home till, late. The whole day we were at Shea Stadium. That's a lot of money for, back then it wasn't that much. For hot dogs and soda and, parking, too. Now it's, insane amount what it is now. It's, $30 just to get a hot dog or something like that. Not a hot dog. Well, meal, yeah, but getting into Citi Field is $50. I'm like, really? It's like you're parking in a parking garage in New York City, which is insane. For 1 hour. Not even 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. For 1 hour at Citi Field, it's $50. It's crazy. Not even 1 hour. The whole game, I should say. $50. Crazy. But anyway. So I grew up, watching the Mets from the early years, from the 80s. When they were, between 81 and 84, they were bad. But 1984, they hired this man, DAVEY JOHNSON, who used to play for the Baltimore Orioles. He made the last out in the 1969 World Series, which the Mets won their first of 2 world titles. So, that was that, and then pretty much almost, about 15, 20 years later, he became the Mets manager in 1984. Got him real close to a division title in 1985. They were a couple games shy of beating the Cardinals, but they near the end. And then 86, the magical, amazing year of 1986, where the amazing Miracle Mets beat the Boston Red Sox in 7 games at Shea Stadium to win their second and final, as of right now, their final World Series title. Great team with Gary Carter, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Strawberry. It was just an amazing team. Probably one of the greatest pitching staffs ever. But DAVEY JOHNSON was probably, I think, behind Casey Stengel, the original Met manager, when he used to manage the Yankees too, but he was one of the best, Casey Stengel, number 32 in your scorecards, number 32 in your heart. DAVEY JOHNSON was probably in the top 3 best Met managers behind Casey Stengel and the late great Gil Hodges, who managed the 69 team. But DAVEY JOHNSON sadly has passed away at the age of 82 in his home in Sarasota, Florida. Not his home, I'm sorry. He was in a hospital. So he passed away in the hospital at 82 this morning. It was confirmed by Jay Horowitz, the Vice President of Alumni Public Relations for the Mets. Did not specify a cause of death. Might be natural causes. I don't even remember Davey even being that sick, but you know. But Davey Johnson, you know, when he was a manager, was such a great guy. One of the first managers that ever used computer analytics, which was never heard of in baseball, like computers. We never had computers back in the day. I mean, they were starting to come in and introduce in the 80s, the early 80s. And when Davey Johnson was around, especially around 86, he used a lot of computer analytics to get information about, and he kind of used that to his advantage, getting statistics, created a program entitled Optimization of the Orioles Lineup. This was in 68, 69, but this came later, of course. He graduated from Trinity University in Texas with a degree in mathematics, so that's where the analytics come in. But, you know, he took a computer class at Johns Hopkins University between 60 and 69, using his teammates' batting statistics as his data, created a program, like I said, optimization of the Orioles lineup. And that resulted in if specific changes were made in the preferred lineup of the Orioles' decidedly old-school manager Earl Weaver, the offense would be stronger. So that's how he used analytics to make the Mets, like, unstoppable almost. 108 wins that year. It was unheard of, like 108. They were unstoppable that year. Kind of analysis that in the intervening years has made sabermetrics as the study of baseball statistics has come to be known, which is a crucial element of administering a major league ball club. So that's how, you know, Davey Johnson made, like, the Mets unstoppable, and now, you know, he's, you know, you see it pretty much in the 90s with a big red machine, and even up to the, you know, the great Boston Red Sox years when they won the World Series with, like, Pedro Martinez and Kurt Schilling. The Yankee years, you know, when they won 3 in a row. Yeah, I know, the 2001. But you know, nowadays everything's like, you know, you can just Google it and you get a statistic. You know, it's just amazing. But Davey Johnson started that way back in the even, you know, not in the 80s when computers were nothing. I mean, were just coming into existence. He thought of this in 68 and 69, mind you. And computers were never, you know, not invented yet. So he just popped it into his head. So anyway, after the 1983 season, well, where the Mets hired him in 83, so he started in 84, he says, I showed Earl Weaver how a guy could have the same type of season 2 years in a row, the same stats, where we score 40 more runs if we spotted them in different situations, like situational hitting, situational pitching, stuff like that. And then Earl Weaver just threw that paper in the basket. Oh, that would have helped the Orioles more, I tell you. But we got that. But minus him being a amazing manager for the Mets, for the Orioles, for the Washington Nationals, the Dodgers, I think the Cubs at one point. He was a great baseball player, consummate professional baseball player. He was long and lean. He was a smooth fielder who won 2 Gold Gloves as part of an Oriole infield that included Brooks Robinson at third, Luis Aparicio, and then Mark Bellinger at shortstop, and Boog Powell, nice name, at first. That infield has often been cited as the best, I don't know, the best ever in baseball, because there's been some Met teams that had a great infield. 2006, anyone? Let me move on with that. And at the plate, he batted .261 in all part of 13 seasons for 4 teams. He was an All-Star 3 times for the American League as an Oriole and once for the National League in 1973 after he was traded to the Atlanta Braves. Before they were Boston, now they were Atlanta. His big league career was interrupted when the Braves cut him in 1975. Then he played in Japan, #1, before returning to the National League for some stints with the Phillies, the Filthies, and the Chicago Cubs. He had a lot of oddities. Most notably, though never considered a power hitter, he was the author of one of baseball history's more eyebrow-raising statistical anomalies with the Braves in 1973 when he belted a team-leading 43 home runs, more than any second baseman had hit in any season prior to that, twice as many as he hit in any other season, and nearly a third of his career total of 136. He and two other Braves, Hank Aaron with 40 home runs, and Darrell Evans, former Boston Red Sox, with 41, made Atlanta the first team with three teammates that hit 40 or more homers in a season, which was matched twice by the 96 and 97 Colorado Rockies. That's with Darren Walker, I think Dante Bichette, senior, not junior. But just an amazing guy. And he was the one who got the last hit off Sandy Koufax in 1966 in Game 2 of the World Series in the 6th inning when Sandy was like throwing gems every freaking game. Complete game shutouts, no hitters, perfect games, stuff like that. And he made, like I said, he made the last out in the 1969 World Series, flying out to the legendary Cleon Jones to secure the Mets' victory. And they wouldn't win another title till basically 17 years later, which was 1986, when he was a manager. And he was on the field the first two times Babe Ruth's home run record was surpassed. In 1974, when Hank Aaron hit number 715, and 2 years later in Japan, he was on the lineup of the Yomiuri Giants when his teammate Sadaharu hit his 715th. So, he hit two pinch hit grand slams in the same season. In 1978, when he was part of the Phillies, he hit just 191 and 102 plate appearances, but his only two home runs were pinch hits with two pinch hit grand slams. Excuse me. And with 5 different teams over 17 seasons. So, the Mets, the Nationals, the Orioles, the Dodgers, and I think the Cubs. He went 1,372 and 1,071, a winning percentage of .562 that ranks him 9th in history among men who have managed at least 2,000 games. Twice with the Mets, he won at least 100 games, which was 86, and when did they win 100 again? It was maybe 85 and 86, because 87 they didn't win a lot, but it is what it is. His teams qualified for the postseason 6 times. Before he was a Met, the Mets finished below 500 7 years in a row, pretty much from 77 to 76 to 83. And in his first 3 years at the helm, as he championed young players like Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden, Dr. K, spirited infielders like Wally Backman, Ron Gardenhire. They went 90 and 72. That was in 84. 85, they went 98 and 64. Came this close to winning the division. They just choked near the end to St. Louis. And in 1986, the miracle year, 108 and 54. And just an amazing career. Amazing manager. Just great. 86 was like his best year as a manager. At one point, the Mets were playing the Reds. That game where Ray Knight and what was his name? I think it was like Chewy Davis. I think it was Chewy Davis or somebody. Ray Knight and him got into a big fight, and Davey Johnson used Jesse Roscoe and Roger McDowell on the mound, and this was made by Marty Herzog in St. Louis in '85. He used to do that all the time, where the pitcher would go to right field, then the right fielder would come to the pitcher's mound, pitcher would go to right field. It would just be weird. So Davey Johnson did that with Gary Carter playing third base, Jesse Roscoe being the pitcher, then going to right field, and then from right field to being pitcher, Roger McDowell will go to right field, and it was just like, what is going on here? It's amazing. Mets won the pennant in '86 in a 16-inning thriller where Jesse Roscoe struck out Ron Bass on a nasty freaking curveball. Mets went on to the World Series where we all know they won in 7. Thrilling series with Game 6 where Bill Buckner went through his legs. Gets by Buckner! It goes down the line! And the Mets win! They win it! You know, I was there for that, and the freaking... I thought, like, the whole stadium was gonna collapse. It was shaking. And in Game 7, you know, I think they were facing Bruce Hurst at the time, and Hurst was like a machine against them. Game 1, and then you picked Game 7, but the Mets thankfully won that game on a... You know, Strawberry hit a big home run, I think, in the 6th, I think it was the 5th or 6th inning, and then Ray Knight hit that 3-run homer to basically seal the deal, and then Jesse Roscoe struck out Marty Barrett to give the Mets their second world title, and Davey Johnson's first world title. So, but just that was, you know, the 86 World Series is probably one of the most talked about World Series ever. That's great. In his memoir in 2018, Davey said, in all the baseball October that I either witnessed or was a part of, this is from his memoir, my wild ride in baseball and beyond, written by Eric Sherman. He says, nothing ever came close to 86. Probably one of the best years ever, best World Series ever. The Mets were Davey's biggest managerial success, but every other big league team he managed, the Reds, the Orioles, where he was responsible for moving the local hero Cal Ripken Jr. from shortstop to third base, and you got a lot of heat for that. The Dodgers and the Nationals improved, you know, its season record by the second year of his tenureship. You know, Johnson's independent streak and his intellectual swagger tended to irk, you know, some of the owners and the bosses. And in that memoir, a showcase of self-regard, he portrayed himself perpetually in the light of the fly ball hit to Cleon Jones in '69. He wrote that he had been certain he had hit a home run to tie the game. And he says, a big gust of wind must have come along at that very moment and blown the ball back in. I don't know about that. I wasn't there, so I don't know. In any case, Mark Schott, the tight-lipped Reds owner, God rest her mighty soul, fired him after 3 seasons. He had a fraught connection with Peter Angelos, the owner of the Orioles, that idiot. Taku knows about that. Was so discomforting that Johnson resigned after the team went 186 and 138 over 2 seasons, and just as he was named manager of the year in the American League. So, you could be the manager of the American League, and then the next season or two, they stink up the joint, and then bye. So we got that. When he was a Met manager, the Mets began to crumble after the '86 World Series. That horrible '87 season, Frank Cashin fired him after the '90 season when the Mets were this close to getting the division again, but they were like 3 games back of the Pirates, who won the division. And that's that. Tony Kornheiser from that great ESPN show, Pardon the Interruption, said, and he was a writer in '97 with the Washington Post, he says, Davey Johnson isn't the easiest guy to get along with. You wouldn't want him living next door. He's abrasive and confrontational. Davey tends to manage from the position that he's smarter than you and everybody else in the room. His history is that he wears out his welcome rather quickly, and he gone. So, he would be on the team for about 2, maybe at most 3 years, and then gone. The team starts stinking up the joint. Bye. So, get that. He was born in on January the 30th, 1943, in Orlando, Florida. His mother, Florence, had been a competitive swimmer. He didn't meet his father, Frederick, who was an Army tank commander during World War II, and a prisoner of war, POW, in Poland until he was about 2 years old. He followed his parents to military bases in Germany and in Wyoming, Georgia, and then finally in San Antonio, Texas. He's an all-around athlete, high school competing in basketball, football, golf, and track and field, in addition to baseball. Played baseball and basketball at Texas A&M. He left college after his sophomore year to sign with the Orioles. He was eager to leave school because his basketball coach and his baseball teammates had failed him. He spent a little more than 3 seasons in the team's minor league system, switching from shortstop to second base, because the Orioles had a future Hall of Famer, which was Luis Aparicio, at short, and a future multiple Gold Glove winner in Mark Bellinger in the system. So Davey was like the last man on the totem pole. Became the Orioles' regular second baseman in 1966. And over the next 7 seasons was an integral cog for a club that won more than 100 games 3 times. Went on to 4 World Series, winning 2 of them. So half, not bad. His last good season was that 43 homer season in Atlanta. Then his average dipped. His runs batted in dropped to 62 from 99 to 62. Then he hit 15 home runs. He had a really bad error total in Atlanta in 1973. It quintupled from 6 in Baltimore in 1972, which Johnson blamed the quality of the infield at the Braves Stadium. The old stadium where, if you've seen in Atlanta. I think it was, not Jack Murphy's in San Diego. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, began playing him at first base. He says, I had to learn how to play first base. Nobody helped me. And by the beginning of 75, he was on the bench and then wanted to be traded. He said, sell me, trade me, just get me the hell out of here. He told general manager Eddie Robinson in his memoir, you guys are idiots. Well, that'll get you traded. He was in Japan, where he was paid $160,000 over his salary in Atlanta. Mind you, in the the 60s and 70s, people were making like hundreds of thousands of dollars, not like billions of dollars like Juan Soto, $780 million. Great man that he is. He was discomforted by the unfamiliar expectations and a culture that was alien to him. He chafed under his manager, Shigeo Nagashima, a hero in Japan. He finished his career back in the States with undistinguished stints with the Phillies and the Cubs, after which he managed 3 seasons in the minor leagues before the Mets hired him in '84. And he said at the time, I want to thank Mr. Frank Cashin for being the intelligent man I know he is and hiring me. Then he fired during the '90s. He was married twice. He's survived by his wife Susan Allen Johnson, who he married in '94. He had 2 children, Davey Johnson Jr. and Dawn, from his first marriage to Mary Non. 2 stepchildren, Ellie Casebolt or Casebolt and Jeremiah Allen. 2 grandchildren and 4 step-grandchildren. A daughter, Andrea, died in 2005. My condolences go out to that. And in addition to big league teams, he also briefly managed the Netherlands national team in 2003, bench coach for the Netherlands in 2004 Olympics. Then he managed Team USA in the 2005 and 2009 World Baseball Classic and the 2008 Olympics. He retired from his last managerial job in 2014 after 2 years with the Nationals, where he had Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, bye to him. Harper's on the Phillies now. Basically, those 2 were reminiscent of young Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, because they were so good on the Phillies. Not the Phillies, so Nationals before. Harper went to the Phillies and had some good seasons, world title and everything, blah, 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 blah. During his final week on the job, the Washington Post columnist Thomas Boswell wrote a farewell to him, saying, one of the smartest and most stubborn, loyal, and insubordinate, independent, and opinionated, honest, and funny, patient, and multifaceted men that baseball has ever seen. That's a really long run-on sentence. I'm not a grammar Nazi, but damn. We got that. And that's that. That's that. So, yeah. So, a great man, Davey Johnson, one of the best Mets managers of all time, behind Gil Hodges and Casey Stengel. I think number 4 would be Bobby Valentine, clearly. Maybe you could put Willie Randolph at number 5 for the 2006 season, but 2006 and 7 season, but then down the drain he went. Even now that with the Mets now, they had Jerry Manuel wasn't great. Jeff Torborg in the 90s was just garbage. Dallas Green, garbage. I mean, after Valentine, it was just like, these guys. And then, they had, what was his name that got him to the 2015 season? Terry. Terry Collins. And he came in the early 2010s. First couple years weren't good, and then that magical 2015 season where you had DeGrom, Harvey, Syndergaard. It was just, amazing freaking pitching staff, and they just ran out of gas in the World Series, losing to Kansas City in 5 games. And then I think in 2017 or 18, he got fired. They bring in Mickey Mouse, Mickey Callaway, whatever his name was. He had really garbage years, and they fired him. And now we got Mendy. We have Buck Showalter after that, which got the Mets to the 2022 playoffs, and then in the first round. And then he got fired in 2020 at the end of the 2023 season. And now we have Carlos Mendoza, who got the Mets to an amazing season last year. Right now the Mets are in second place, 6 games back of the Phillies, 4 games up on the San Francisco Giants. So, with 3 weeks to play, see if Mendy can get the Mets back to the playoffs. Got the Mets to the NLCS, got them to Game 6, but couldn't get over that hump. So we'll see what he does if he can get the Mets to the playoffs again, and see what the Mets can do now with Juan Soto and now the young kids, Tong Sprout, who pitches tomorrow, and Nolan McLean with Peterson, who had a really garbage game. 7 bad starts for Peterson are just bad. Oy. Clay Holmes is just stinking up the joint. Manaya stinks up the joint. Senga's now in the minors to get fixed. The bullpen needs fixing. I mean, Diaz almost blew it last night, and he got out of it. I don't know how he got out of that bases-loaded jam. Struck out the next 2 batters, and then lucky for the Mets that Acuna Jr. made a great play due to Diaz, who luckily was going to first base, and they got the out. Mets win 5-4. That's that. So, but Davey Johnson was, I think, one of the best managers of all time, and that's it. Well, the Tong Man, Jonah Tong. Well, I believe this is his second start. Has given up a 2-run homer in the bottom of the second inning. The Reds lead the Mets 2-0. So, hey, Tong is human. But we'll see what happens. What happens with that? Now it's 3-1. It was 2-0. Now it's 3-1. As actually the Mets were leading 1-0. We're leading 1-0. No, take that back. Tong gives up a home run to a guy that hasn't hit a home run all year, some rookie. Make it 2-0, and then Brandon Nimmo with a sac fly in the top of the third. And then Tom gives up another homer, making it 3-1. And now it's man on second, 2 out for the Reds. Reds are up 3-1. A lot of time left, so we'll see what happens with that. The Phillies won again. They beat the Marlins 4-2 in Miami. Right now they're 6.5 up on the Mets. So this is game. They got 20 games left. I think their magic number is like 10 or 12. So they could clinch by next week. Clinch the division again. Well, actually not again. For the first time in a couple years. So Mets right now have the 5th seed, the second wild card. They're tied with the Padres, but not looking so good now. Padres are starting at 8 o'clock, starting soon. San Fran just started. They're in the bottom of the first inning with the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cubs won today. No, they lost today. I'm sorry. So the Mets right now are 4.5 back, but if they lose today, they'll go back to being 5 back. So it's kind of, a big race for, in the next pretty much 2.5 weeks with all that. But, yeah, Tong, is having, second game jitters, I guess. But it is what it is. All right, he got out of the inning. Now Mets are coming up, top of the 4th inning, 3-1. And so far, Tong has gone 3 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So his ERA went way up to 4.5. And that's that. And, by the way, all you Yankee fans, the Yankees actually won today. Big deal. So the Yankees are now 3 back. I believe 3 back in the division. Because they beat Toronto today, because that's a big series this weekend. Yeah, Yankees are 3 back. Boston plays at 8, and Boston is 1 game back of the Yankees right now. Yankees have the 4th seed in the wild card. Boston has the 5th seed, and Boston is up by 4.5 games over Seattle, and Seattle is a half game up on Texas, and 1 game up on KC, 2 games up on Tampa Bay, 2.5 on Cleveland. So that 6th seed, might come down to the wire, and then it's pretty much between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Who's going to be the 4th seed, who's going to be the 5th seed, and they're going to play each other if all goes well in the wild card round. We'll see what happens with that. And if the Mets continue on their track, they could face the Phillies in the first round, or they face the Cubs. So, God willing, it's, Philly, because Mets own Philly. So, we'll see what happens with that. Alright, guys, I am out of here. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do my Dynamite review really quick, because Collision's coming up live in about 20 minutes. So, we got that. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. And my heartfelt condolences go out to the family of Davey Johnson, legendary Mets manager who passed away today at the age of 82. No cause of death as of right now. But Davey Johnson, thank you for making my childhood dream, well, not my childhood dream, I guess you could say that. My childhood dream of watching the Mets win the 1986 World Series, a reality. I actually did meet him that year, the next year, 86 and 87, because I met him at I met him at a dinner the day after, the home opener, that usually for season ticket holders, they have not a meet the fans, I think it's like meet the fans type dinner, for the players and for, some of the fans. Stuff like that. So I went there with my dad and one of his friends, and I was like a little bitty Hulkster dude. I was like about 9-10 years old, about 10 years old, and I met Davey Johnson. I met with Mookie Wilson and Lenny Dystra. I think I still have the ball from the '86 World Series. I don't know where it is though, but not in my house, obviously. I think it's in my parents' house in my old room. I gotta look for it. If I find it, I'll show you guys. But pretty much, you can't see any of the not all of them, but some of the signatures on that ball. Not that I'd sell it for money, because I mean, look, the ball's like, all right, what am I gonna do with this? Probably get like $5 off that ball, but it is what it is. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. So to Davey Johnson, rest in peace, sir. Great man. Thank you for 1986 and the great years that you were a Met manager. And thank you for giving the Mets the first title and their second title as well. So, the Davey Johnson hitting home runs in that big stadium in the sky. Rest in peace, sir. Cheers. And that's that. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. I gotta get out of here because it's raining like crazy. It's been thundering on and off pretty much since like 2 o'clock. It's supposed to be heavy rain. Severe thunderstorm watch up until, I think it said up to 8, so about 20 minutes left of the severe thunderstorm watch here in my neck of the woods. But I think it's gonna be some heavy rain, and then it's gonna stop for a while, and it's supposed to end really Sunday afternoon. So not gonna really affect the Jets because they're playing Pittsburgh in Jet Life Stadium tomorrow against Bucks, and it's just gonna double check. I don't think it's gonna be any maybe a wet field, maybe we'll see what happens with that. The Giants are in Washington. That might be a wet field. I don't know how the weather is going to be in Washington, D.C. against the Commanders. That might be a wet field. Maybe some mud. Who knows? You always love that for football. And then the 49ers in Seattle, but they're in a dome. So against the Seahawks. And Christian McCaffrey is going to play, even though a couple of days ago, they put him on the injury report with a calf muscle, the same one he had last year, which put him out for pretty much like 10 weeks, and he came back, and then he hurt his leg after 4 games, so he was out for the year. Now, he says he's fine. Might come down to a game-time decision. I'd rest him, because he goes down, and, you know, his calf, like, explodes or something. He hurts it really bad. He's done for the year. And the Niners' hopes and dreams go bye-bye again. So, it's like every year, Niners cannot stay healthy. Somebody gets hurt. Some big guy like Ayuk got hurt last year. He's coming back. He's not coming back till week 6 or 7. Bosa got hurt twice. Just crazy. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow with the Niners at 4 p.m. on Fox. Giants play the Commanders on Fox at 1. And also at 1, the Jets at home against the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. And it's discount double check coming back to Jet Life Stadium, where it all began 2 years ago. Even though he played 1 full season and stunk. So I don't like the Jets' chances against Rodgers tomorrow, but, you know, anything can happen. Hey, the Chargers beat the Chiefs last night. Taylor Swift's crying like a little bitch that she is. Good. Cry, you bitch. That's all I gotta say about that. Doesn't, hurt my pick'em league. I'm 0-2 right now, so hopefully you make a good big comeback tomorrow. Week 1 of the NFL in the league where they play for pay. And, that's that. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. God rest Davey Johnson's mighty soul. And that's all I gotta say about that. Until next time, stay true to yourself, be positive, and live each day as it comes, because we never know when it'll be our last. So, live life to 100%, or live life to 90%, the other 10%, we don't know what that is. But live life each day, take each day as it comes. So that's all I gotta say about that. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.